You know, untruth, unlove, and unfreedom, restriction. It's nothing better than that to help us grow. Yeah, and this is then what you can see. This isn't fake positivity. This is literally understanding how this works. And for that, we will now learn in the energy forecast for next week what is coming in here as supporting energies for us. And those of you who would like to tune in a little more into these energies here and the challenges and tests that are coming our way, please stay and let me start all over again. Welcome everybody to our energy update and energy tips for week 47, 13th till 19th of November 2021. A very, very interesting time, and by the title of Vitality, you might actually guess what all this is about. This is about, well, you could say rebirthing, but really bringing something into life, invigorating something with life. And yes, we will find out that this isn't that easy, yeah, for all of us, because there are some things in us that are, well, that we have numbed down a little bit, or that we did not want to be alive, just so that we could maybe stay in our comfort zone. And this is the double-edged sword of this next week, guys. It's going to be quite a challenging week for the collective. We have a full moon again, we have a lunar eclipse, we're having probably one of the most intense transformation times here of all year. Yeah, and there's a bit of a time capsule to this. I've already explained this in the forecast and last week's energy update, yeah, that reaches into March. So there's stuff that is being invigorated, there's stuff that is being tested, there's stuff that is coming forward right now that will carry far into March when it comes into manifestation. But what you need to know about this week here is basically something that has to do with something that we would in energy work would call an activation or a download. So there are massive downloads in this week. Tomorrow, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, massive downloads that are coming our way. And for those of you who are energetically sensitive, you will feel this. And you know, you've had a lot of practice here in these last 10, 20 years to recognize these collective energies and understand that it's not just you and that there's nothing wrong with you if your body feels a little sluggish or very tired, or if you have times where your emotions are kind of out of control, or where you can't stop thinking and your mind is racing, or you know, where the spiritual contextualization is impossible for you. This isn't always just you guys. This is also sort of this collective transformation here to question all of these things and to pierce through this, to reprogram ourselves to more clarity, yeah, as opposed to just basically going with the wind, going with what sort of the people around us doing. As energetically sensitive, you have also probably found out that you are part of a minority, yeah, maybe of a 15-20% minority, if that, okay, which means 8 people out of 10 people around you will have a different view, they'll have a different opinion about life and current events, and they will make different decisions because their view is different. And for you here, this November week, okay, this lunar eclipse, full moon November week of vitality is basically the breaking open, the busting open the floodgates. The floodgates are already open, guys. That has happened here just a few days ago, energetically, yeah, visible for people like me. And now it's up to you how you're going to work with this. You're going to need mental discipline. You're going to need to train your mind to not fall for these pretty obvious mind control mechanisms that we are all exposed to here through mainstream media and through peer pressure and so forth, you will need emotional discipline to not go into the self-centered, sort of loathing kind of place when you realize that things are not the way they used to be, and that there's maybe a letting go involved here in regards to what you used to have and what you may be able to or may not be able to maintain. For example, maybe you find yourself in a situation where you're losing your job, or where you realize that the relationship that you're in, or the place that you live in, isn't really as conducive or as growth oriented as you hoped it was. Yeah, so you are going to experience a week of fundamental clash of your ideals, yeah, with the truth that is. And for most of the people out there, for most of us, this leads to coping behavior. This leads to basically checking out, going into autopilot. And this is the part that many of you are already aware of, basically becoming a part of those collective energies. And when I say that, I don't mean this in a demeaning or judgmental way. All I'm really saying is that if you go on autopilot, if you do not train your mind to see through this, and I'm not talking about conspiracy theories here, guys, I'm talking about systematic training of your consciousness, all right? Knowing and being able to discern what is true and what isn't, okay? This is not the same as what you agree with or disagree with. Those are two different things. See, what you agree and disagree with has something to do with your emotions and your mind and your personal opinions, yeah, and your comfort zone, okay? Yeah, I don't agree with having less money every month. No, why? Because then, it's harder for me to pay my bills, or it's harder for me to, see myself growing, or, enjoying life in certain ways that I've grown fond of. Yes, that is a challenge, but does that mean that it's bad? Does that mean that it's against me? Not necessarily. If you're asking me personally, the times in my life of greatest transformation, and with it also the times of most fundamental growth, happened in times where the ideals, yeah, the old systems fell apart, where they had to fall apart, where I was forced to going back to my fundamental needs. What do I need in my life? What it truly matters to me? Then my desirables, yeah, how would I like this? What would be my preference here? Yeah. And my ideals as sort of the shooting to the stars, but actually not expecting myself to land on the stars, but hopefully to land on the moon in the process. It's an compass needle, approximation, a navigation tool. This is the power of this next week, guys. The power of next week is that it really, really challenges your mental ability to see through things. And, when I say floodgates open, you can imagine that, as an onslaught of information, an onslaught of media bombardment. Yeah, not that we didn't already have had this here for the last decades, okay, but this is going to be extreme, and you really going to need to be willing to be fully present and to actually think this through. Yeah, not ruminate, not loop, not overthink, but to hear every word and ask yourself, wait, what are they even saying there? What does this even mean? That's how you pierce through this. The reason why so many people feel so fragmented, emotionally, mentally, physically challenged right now is because they're not doing that. They're ruminating anxiously about the future, believing that everything that comes in the future now is bad because the old is gone. Okay, that's one aspect of that. Or, the others that have this massive ideal in this massive fantasy in the back of their minds, yeah, and sort of going into la la land with this. So we have to be really, really careful here to not allow ourselves to get pulled into this sort of a collective phantom fear and phantom pain. Okay? For our personal transformations, as you can do this due to the power of your consciousness, you will find that this is an extremely fruitful week for you. There is a new level of decisiveness, a new level of you becoming clear about what your values are, what you truly want to manifest in your life, what truly matters for you, and where you want your life to go. Yeah, sort of the next level of growth. This is what this sort of testing here of your vitality, what that means. And I've chosen the word vitality because you can, if you use vitality, yeah, the science of life force and happiness as your own inner gauge, okay, then you can see that whenever you are willing to let go of something that is outdated, that no longer works, yes, it may be challenging for a moment, but then the next energy that comes in is the one, yeah, that propels you forward. You will feel so much support, and you will feel that with so little effort, things are growing for you. And that said, guys, this is, of course, not going over well collectively, and many of you know that I have a whole forum. There's currently, I think, over 400 posts that I put there in regards to our current situation, and obviously related to the health crisis and some other aspects of that. Yeah, where it's obvious now, yeah, that whatever we were sort of promised, whatever sort of was shown to us as the ideal, okay, was kind of like a fantasy. And now we have to come to terms with what is. We have to be willing to accept truth and not go into resistance with it, not fight against it. On the contrary, know exactly what it is that we are dedicating our energy to, yeah, and wait for our moment. For many of you guys here this week and the week after that is going to be a week where a lot of your efforts in the past, they seemed so futile. They seemed so, you know, like all this sort of going against the stream and not fitting in and not feeling that, you know, that you can connect with other people. You will now see why that had to be, yeah, like that, because that was your test. That was your graduation, okay, for you to be able to do this now when it truly matters. For you to see through things, for you to discipline your mind, and for you to systematically reprogram yourself, yeah, to work with truth and to understand what truth, love, and freedom means. Yeah, the truth, the light, and the way. To truly understand this within yourself and to even become able to spiritually contextualize that. That is what you have been training for. And this is coming out now like a bud that probably suddenly bursts open. You will understand why it had to be that way. So the spiritual significance of this is, yeah, without using sort of simplified dark and light forces kind of terminology, is to align yourself to a higher spiritual hierarchy. And that has to do with understanding yourself as human and understanding sort of the spiritual hierarchies that we are in here. And as humans, we are basically all angels in training, okay? And we just got a new coach, okay? And that new coach, that new training coach, okay, is of a higher hierarchy. Yeah, it's a spiritual force that is here to show us how to embody truth, how to embody love, and how to embody freedom. And this is what we are now being confronted with. This is what needs to be mended, what needs to be healed in us, and with it all, the error perceptions, the false beliefs and the propaganda and so forth that was implemented into us. That is what we need to be able to pierce through with the sword of truth, guys. That is the spiritual significance of this. If you are familiar with spiritual hierarchies, it is that Archangel Michael energy that we are now aligning to in order to grow, into that higher consciousness that we as humans carry in us, but not use it yet. Okay. So the last part here may feel a little bit too woo for some of you people, but be assured that there are very clear dynamics to this. I have several courses and programs where I systematically train people to do this, and it is almost technical, the way we have to learn this. It has to do with us learning how to use these tools correctly, our energetic sensitivity as well as our senses, obviously our nervous system. We have to learn how to calm down, how to slow down our heart rate, how to go into higher levels of heart coherence. We have to work with our emotions, okay, and emotional literacy and emotional processing. And we need to train our mind, okay, to become able to discern better, to know what thought you are thinking, what is actually your thought, and what is something that just comes in through this collective thought field, okay? This needs to be systematically trained. If you were interested, to hear more, learn more about this, then check my website, transCODES.com, or ask for an initial coaching session with me, a free consult with me, where we can discuss this. But you got to understand that everything that you have felt as a struggle here in those last 20 years was preparation for this right now, okay? And those of you who have worked through your stuff, who have dealt with your own shadow aspects, with your own inner child aspects, who have stepped out of the comfort zone of your ego perception into your higher perception, okay? You guys will recognize, Annette, like you said, Matthew, like you say, it resonates, okay, that there's something beyond all that, and that is what we need to align ourselves to. That's what we are here for. This is what this is about. So use your own vitality, your expression of love, truth, and freedom as a gauge, as a measuring stick here for the weeks to come, guys. All right. So if you sit there and complain and bicker about how bad the world is, you are putting out into the collective exactly what the collective puts out to you. Okay. So you're going to have to recognize that. That is basically the clarity that you gain when you investigate how your energy is actually contributing to this collective consciousness field, and how it is the one that actually manifests all these things like viruses and planetary shifts and weather shifts here on this planet, okay? Yes, that is uncomfortable. And the reason why it's uncomfortable is because it makes us accountable. And that's absolutely basically the test here. Yeah. If you want to be a conscious co-creator, you're going to have to be willing, to be accountable. You're going to have to be willing to be self-responsible. Okay. And it's totally okay when you recognize that there are things that you've done in the past that are not aligning to who you truly are. Yeah. This is the beauty of consciousness. Yeah. Then you mend it. Yeah, you forgive yourself for it, you absolve yourself for it, you go to the people whom it affects and apologize. If it's not a particular person, then you do something good, like I formed a school, a non-profit school. It's a tremendous amount of work, but it changes so many people's lives. Okay, this is something how I give that back. I have made a lot of mistakes, and I mean, not like really bad things, but things that, I would say, that I couldn't see before. And so now I'm using all that I can see today, to embody that in me, to cultivate this with everything that I do, with the work that I do, with the people that I surround myself, the people that I work with, yeah, the way I live my family life, the way I live with the world, with nature, okay, to really, really, be in harmony with this. And then you will see that you have no contradictions anymore. Yeah, you will then see that life becomes easy. You're still going to have to deal with what is, obviously, but you can deal with what is in real time because your navigator is calibrated. You know where it's going. Yeah, that's what this is about. So enjoy these downloads here, this activation. Yeah, just because there are red days on my energy wellness calendar here, the November calendar. If you don't know what that is, subscribe to my email list so you get that. There's also an energy alignment for every month. But if you see those red days and you're like, oh my God, no, those are going to be bad days. Red doesn't mean bad. Red means that you're going to be challenged, yes, and it's mostly going to be emotional and physical. So what? That's a weather condition, okay? If I look at the weather forecast and I see, oh my God, it's going to be only 45 degrees Fahrenheit, yeah, and I set myself up for having a bad day, well, I'm wasting my life force. I'm wasting my vitality. I could also just put some warmer clothes on and enjoy the fresh air, yeah, and allow all that to happen. It just is, okay? You need to know where your inner compass points at and where this is going. And that's all you need to focus on, guys. That is what this week brings in. You are supported. So now be decisive and go for it. I love you guys. I see you again on Wednesday for the energy prayer and energy talk afterwards, 11:30 a.m. Eastern US time. And if you're interested in any of the things that you can learn here with me, then again, go to my website, transCODES.com. Thank you, live audience. Thank you for all your hearts. It's wonderful. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.